Most household systems do not fail suddenly. Fragility builds gradually through time. A household may appear stable, successful, and financially healthy until pressure arrives. Then suddenly, liquidity compresses, debt pressure accelerates, optionality disappears, and the system becomes difficult to stabilize. But the real danger was usually present long before the crisis itself, because fragility leaves forecastable signals. And once we begin forecasting financial statements, contribution income statements, leverage structures, liquidity ratios, solvency ratios, and behavioral rigidity, we can often identify danger before it arrives. This changes forecasting from prediction into strategic adaptation. Financial fragility is the tendency for a household system to become unstable under pressure. Importantly, fragility is not determined solely by income. High-income households can be extremely fragile, and moderate-income households can sometimes be highly resilient, because fragility depends more heavily on lifestyle leverage, financial leverage, liquidity, solvency, behavioral rigidity, and adaptability. This is critically important because forecasting allows us to observe how these structures evolve through time. Lifestyle leverage refers to the degree to which the household lifestyle depends upon maintaining current income levels. This is one of the most important concepts inside household forecasting, because many households' systems gradually evolve toward highly structural rigidity. Examples include expensive housing, large vehicle obligations, subscriptions, recurring lifestyle spending, private schooling, travel expectations, and structurally high recurring obligations. The higher the fixed lifestyle burden, the higher the degree of lifestyle leverage, as shown and explained in great detail in past seasons, or past videos in this season. And forecasting allows us to observe how DLL evolves through time. This becomes especially powerful when paired with the contribution income statement, because contribution forecasting reveals how much of the household system is structurally fixed, behaviorally variable, inflation sensitive, or adaptive. And this allows us to identify future vulnerability before pressure arrives. Financial leverage refers to the degree to which debt obligations amplify system instability. Debt itself is not automatically dangerous, but forecasting reveals when leverage becomes structurally unstable. Because once we forecast interest expense, debt balances, amortization schedules, refinancing assumptions, and interest rate scenarios, we can begin forecasting degree of financial leverage. This is critically important because debt amplifies pressure, especially when rates rise, income falls, liquidity weakens, or inflation compresses contribution margin. And because the debt balances themselves evolve through amortization schedules, the financial statements become fully interconnected forecasting systems. Interest expense affects the income statement. Debt balances affect the net worth statement. Cash payments affect the cash flow statement. And contribution pressures affect the contribution income statement. Everything becomes connected. Now we combine lifestyle leverage and financial leverage. This creates degree of combined leverage. And this is where forecasting becomes extremely powerful, because high DLL combined with high DFL creates systems that become very sensitive to disruption. Small declines in income can produce disproportionately large reductions in contribution margin, net income, liquidity, savings capacity, and optionality. And forecasting allows us to see how this sensitivity evolves through time before stress arrives. This is one of the most important advantages of integrated household forecasting, because now fragility itself becomes forecastable. Forecasting fragility also requires forecasting liquidity and solvency, because strong systems maintain buffer capacity. and fragile systems gradually lose financial flexibility. Once the financial statements are forecast, we can observe how ratios evolve through time under different scenarios. Examples include liquidity ratios, the current ratio, quick ratio, months of liquidity or emergency reserve coverage. Solvency ratios include debt servicing ratios, debt to income ratios, leverage ratios, fixed obligation coverage, and interest coverage. And this is critically important because many systems appear stable today, but forecasting reveals whether they remain stable under inflation, rising interest rates, income shocks, or behavioral rigidity. This transforms forecasting into a decision-making framework. This is the true purpose of forecasting, not prediction, adaptation. Because once future fragility becomes visible, decision-making improves dramatically. Now households can reduce structural rigidity, improve liquidity, reduce debt exposure, refinance obligations, expand income optionality, reduce behavioral fragility, and strengthen adaptive capacity before pressure arrives. This creates clearer, calmer, and more rational decision-making environments. And importantly, forecasting reduces emotional reactivity because uncertainty feels very different when the system is understood. Once the income statement, net worth statement, cash flow statement, and contribution income statement are forecast together, the household operating system becomes predictive. Now, small assumptions propagate through the entire structure. And this allows us to forecast fragility, resilience, leverage sensitivity, liquidity deterioration, solvency pressure, and future optionality. This is where personal finance evolves into systems engineering. In the next episode, we begin exploring optionality. Because strong financial systems do more than survive pressure, they preserve future freedom. We will begin forecasting adaptive flexibility, liquidity-driven opportunity, strategic positioning, decision capacity, and the ability to respond intelligently to changing economic conditions. Because ultimately the goal is not merely reducing fragility, the goal is building systems that preserve the ability to choose. And once forecasting begins revealing how optionality evolves through time, the household operating system transforms from reactive survival into strategic navigation.